If you're in the job market looking for a role in software sales, go ahead and crush the like button below, and I have a feeling some good luck will come your way. One of the most asked questions I get on this channel is, how do I get a job in software sales? Do I need a bachelor degree? What is the first step I should take to actually find my dream role as an SDR, BDR, account executive? In this video, I'm gonna answer all of those questions. I'm gonna talk about why it's so hard to actually get hired in software sales. I'm gonna talk about my experience getting hired as a sales development representative right out of college, no past experience, no internships, no connections in the technology industry. And then finally, I've been working in sales 3 years. I've worked my way up. I've tripled my income. It's a great place to be. I've also interviewed multiple candidates and referred some as well, and are friends with a couple of recruiters. So I'm gonna share some professional interview tips. So stick around for the end of the video to hear those interview tips. I wanna begin with a story to really set the stage for what you can expect applying for jobs and really how the world works. And this post really resonated with me on LinkedIn. I'm gonna read off it on my computer and then let me know what you guys think. This was a guy who posted on LinkedIn. There's all these influencers on LinkedIn. He said, last year I interviewed for an account executive role with Salesforce. It paid $250,000 a year and was fully remote. That sounds pretty good. I prepared ahead of time and did several mock interviews until my responses were consistently on point. Good for him. I crushed the interview. I had prepped for every question they would ask me. I closed the interview by asking when we could schedule the final round. That's a pro tip. Always make the ask and be assertive. The interviewer said, to be honest, I'm only considering people with 10 years of hunting and closing experience, so it's hard to imagine you being a good fit. The prospect here, or the guy interviewing, countered saying, if you knew that I didn't have the experience going into today, can I ask what made you want to meet with me? The interviewer exhaled and paused for 5 seconds and said, yeah, man, honestly, I wish I had a good answer for you, but I don't. I was bummed, but I walked away feeling proud of myself regardless. I did all that was in my control to rock the interview. And while I didn't get the job, I landed a senior marketing manager role with AWS just a few weeks later. The takeaway: you can't control, here's the punchline, you can't control what companies do, but you can control how you show up. If you do, your desire will result in the inevitable outcome you want much sooner than you think. What's the takeaway there for you and me? It's first off, it's really hard to get hired, and even if you do all the right things, it still doesn't guarantee your success. Just note that all you can do is control what's in your control, and that's the amount of research you do. That's the applications you put in. That's the level of personalization you send in your follow-ups, in your applications of saying, hey, I want a job. And even if you do all that right, it still doesn't guarantee success. Life is not fair. Life is not fair, and I'm gonna stick with that. If you enjoy sales content and trying to find your dream sales job, and then when you eventually do get hired, you're gonna wanna see free sales training, and that's what we do here on this channel. So make sure to subscribe now if you haven't already. When I think about some of the common pitfalls I hear from people trying to get in sales, they say, do I need a bachelor degree? And where do I start? And then how do I even do it? If I were back in the job market here today, this is what I would do. First and foremost, my experience is now great. I started as an SDR for 2 years. I know how to prospect. I have results to back it up. And I've been in a closing role for about a year now. So I feel like I could go to any company and do my best to get hired because I have the background. So if you find yourself in a role where if you don't have the background, figure out how can you look more presentable? How can you get some experience? If you have no experience and no credentials, why would you be a good hire as an SDR? Just because you want it really bad? Here's the reality. There's thousands of people. There's tens of thousands of people. There may even be hundreds of thousands of people just like you that are equally, if not more smart, that have better credentials, that want it just as much as you. So what is your X factor? What can you do in your control? That's building out a great LinkedIn profile. That's proactively actually getting some sales experience. If you can't get hired in the technology industry right now, go work in retail sales, go work in car sales, go work in hospitality. Do something to start to build your communication and your experience so that when it's your time, you can go apply. And another key tip here that I tell people all the time is people reach out to me on LinkedIn, and if you'd like to connect, if you'd like me to refer you, if you just want to be in networks to network, go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn now. One of the most common things I share with people is, look, what is your X factor? What can you do differently? And that's building out your brand, that's setting yourself apart. And ultimately, it's putting yourself in that position to gain the experience so that it's when your time, you can go for it. And here's the punchline, I kind of forgot there. Be willing to take a step back, to take 2 steps forward. A lot of people think that they can just go right to account executive, they can just job hop and go up to that next level. Be willing to take a step back, to take a couple steps forward. So if you're 24, 25, 26, 27, and you've never worked in technology, but you want to get there, be willing to take that senior SDR role and just go for it. And that will put you in a position to get the right experience. And once you get your foot in the door, never let your foot go. And when you actually start to think about, what do I do to get a job? You start applying. You research, where are the companies I want to work for? Get a list of 10 companies, start applying. Apply via their website and reach out to employees on LinkedIn. Because here's some news for you. Employees like myself at tech companies are compensated for referring people. So if you reach out to me, I'm happy to refer you, because if you get hired, I get paid. So I'm actually incentivized to help you. And most companies that are quality operate like that. So reach out to sales managers, reach out to existing reps on LinkedIn and say, can you refer me? Can you give me some tips? And then the reason so many people get rejected and it's so hard is because these companies have only a finite amount of openings. They have a lot of people applying if it's a good company, and you may not have the best credentials. And then here's the other factors. Let's say you do have the credentials, you got to be a good culture fit. So here's what I mean by that. At my company, our values are tacos, transparency, all in, customer obsessed, one team, different values like that. So if you're a candidate and you don't align with the value system, then you're not going to get hired. So do your research ahead of time before even the initial phone screening. Figure out what are the company values. Make sure you have the hard skills. Control what you can control, and that's all you can do. When you're in the actual interview, here's what you do. Reach out to an existing employee to learn from them firsthand what the culture's like, and if you even want to work at that company. Apply to the company, get them to refer you, get that initial interview, say, hey, I spoke with XYZ, this is my past experience that aligns with your culture values, and then make the ask. What is the next step in your process? I want to speak with the sales manager. I want to be hired. I want to help accelerate top line revenue growth by generating pipeline and closing more business. That's why you're being hired at sales. When you are in that interview spot, just remember to do your research as well. I always tell potential candidates for Qualtrics, go read the quarterly earning report. Go read our public S1. Go read information that most people don't know so that you can reference that on the interview, and you're inherently going to set yourself apart. And if you just do that extra level of research and you're able to get your foot in the door, that is how you get your opportunity. And it's really hard. And like we talked about at the beginning, even if you do everything right, that still doesn't guarantee your success. So I know how hard it is. I'm rooting for you. I want to help you. Let me know down below how I can help, what questions you have. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe as well. It's a tough job market. A lot of people are starting and leaving jobs, the great resignation. So there's more opportunity than ever. All these companies are funded nowadays. All these companies need people to come in and drive revenue. And that's the service you offer. So go make it happen.